It gives me a great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to each one of you for joining me to watch this video presentation. The third video presentation on UPRT covers various aspects of upset conditions of airplane. Our aim is to create better awareness among pilots. I am sure that you will find this video presentation interesting and will benefit from it. So let's get cracking with the presentation. We shall be discussing the following topics during this presentation. First, flight at extremely high speeds, situational awareness of an airplane upset, startle factor, negative G-force, use of full control inputs, counterintuitive factors, previous training on non-similar aircraft, potential effect on engines, post-upset conditions, and fly-by-wire. First, flight at extremely high speeds. Inadvertent excursions into extremely high speeds, either Mach number or airspeed, should be treated very seriously. Flight at high Mach numbers puts the airplane in a region of reduced maneuvering envelope, that is closer to Buffett boundaries. Operation at very close to Buffett limiting altitudes restricts the range of Mach numbers and load factors available for maneuvering. The accidents may be caused by horizontal gusts, penetration of jet stream or cold fronts, inadvertent control movements, leveling off from climb, descent, from Mach limiting to airspeed limiting altitudes, gust upsets, and passenger movement. Pilots need to be aware that the maneuvering envelope is small and that prudent corrective action is necessary to avoid exceeding the other end of the envelope during recovery. Pilots should become very familiar with high-speed Buffett boundaries for the airplane and the combinations of weight and altitudes at which they operate. Flight in the high airspeed regime brings with it an additional consideration of very high control power. At speeds higher than maneuver speed, a single very large deflection in pitch or roll has the potential to generate structural damage or failure. A single full-scale deflection in yaw is acceptable to at least maximum operating speed. At any speed, large excessive control deflection reversals can lead to loads that can exceed structural design limits. Control reversals will amplify the loads of the aircraft structures while possibly leading to over control and even loss of control situations. In either the Mach or airspeed regime, if speed is excessive, the first priority of the pilots should be to reduce speed to within the normal envelope. Many tools are available for this, including orienting the lift factor away from the gravity factor, adding load factor, which increases drag, reducing thrust, and adding drag by means of the speed brakes. The single most powerful force the pilot has available is the wing lift force. The second largest force acting on the plane is the weight vector. Airplane should be maneuvered so that the lift vector points in the desired direction, which should be the first priority, and it is the first step toward managing the energy level available in the airplane. Now we shall discuss situation awareness of an airplane upset. Effective situation awareness will avoid an upset from developing in the first place. However, it is important that the first actions for recovering from an airplane upset be correct and timely. Exaggerated control inputs through reflex responses must be avoided. It is worth repeating that inappropriate control input during one upset recovery can lead to a different upset situation. Troubleshooting the cause of the upset is secondary to initiating the recovery. However, the pilot still must recognize and confirm the situation before a recovery can be initiated. Regaining and then maintaining control of the airplane is paramount. Communication between crew members will assist in the recovery actions. At the first indication of an unusual occurrence, the pilot should announce what is being observed. It is necessary to use the primary flight instruments and airplane performance instruments when analyzing the upset situation. Visual meteorological conditions may allow the use of references outside the airplane. However, it can be difficult or impossible to see the horizon because in most large commercial airplanes, the field of view is restricted due to window geometry and overhead panel placement. For example, the field of view from an airplane that exceeds a 25-degree nose-up attitude probably is limited to view of the sky only. Conversely, the field of view is restricted to the ground for a nose-down pitch attitude that exceeds 10 degrees. In addition, the pilots must be prepared to analyze the situation during darkness and when instrument meteorological conditions exist. The attitude direction indicator is used as a primary reference for recovery. Pilots should compare the ADI information with performance instrument indications before initiating recovery. For a nose low upset, normally the airspeed is increasing, altitude is decreasing, and the vertical speed indicator indicates a descent. For a nose high upset, the airspeed normally is decreasing, altitude is increasing, and the VSI indicates a climb. Cross-check other attitude sources. For example, the standby attitude indicator and the pilot monitoring instruments. Pitch attitude is determined from the ADI pitch reference scales. Most modern airplanes also use color, blue for the sky and brown for the ground, or ground perspective lines to assist in determining whether the airplane pitch is above or below the horizon. Even in extreme altitudes, some portion of the sky or ground indications is usually present to assist the pilot in analyzing the situation. The bank indicator on the ADI should be used to determine the airplane bank. The situation analysis process is to communicate with other crew members, locate the bank indicator, determine pitch attitude, confirm attitude by reference to other indicators, and assess the energy state. Now we shall discuss the startle factor. The airplane upset do not occur very often, and that there are multiple causes for these unpredictable events. Therefore, pilots are usually surprised or startled when an upset occurs. There can be a tendency for pilots to react before analyzing what is happening or to fixate on one indication and fail to properly diagnose the situation. Proper and sufficient training is the best solution for overcoming the startle factor. The pilot must overcome the surprise and quick shift into analysis of what the airplane is doing and then implement the proper recovery. They must gain control of the airplane and then determine and eliminate the causes of the upset. Let's have a look at the negative G force. Pilots are normally uncomfortable with aggressively unloading the G forces, particularly on a large passenger airplane. The pilots habitually work hard at being very smooth with the controls and keeping a positive 1G force to ensure flight attendant and passengers' comfort and safety. Therefore, the pilots must overcome this inhibition when faced with having to quickly and sometimes aggressively unload the airplane to less than 1G by pushing down the elevator. Pilots must anticipate a significantly different cockpit environment during less than 1G situations. They may be floating up against the seat belts and shoulder harnesses. It may even be difficult to reach or use rudder pedals if they are not properly adjusted. Unsecured items such as flight kits, approach plates, or lunch trays may be flying around the cockpit. These are the things that the pilots must be prepared for when recovering from an upset that involves forces less than 1G flight. Now we shall discuss use of full control inputs. Utilizing full control authority is not a part of routine airline flying. Pilots must be prepared to use full flight control authority if the situation warrants it. In normal conditions, flight control inputs become more effective with increased speed or reduced angle of attack. Conversely, at speeds approaching the critical angle of attack, large control inputs are needed for given aircraft reactions. Moreover, During certain abnormal situations, that is partial high lift devices, thrust reverser in flight, large or full-scale control inputs may be required. Attitude and flight path changes can be very rapid during an upset, and in responding to these sorts of upset conditions, large control inputs may be necessary. It is important to guard against control reversals. There is no situation that will require rapid full-scale control deflection from one side to the other. Let's now talk about counterintuitive factors. The pilots are routinely trained to recover from approach to stalls. The recovery usually requires an increase in thrust and a relatively small reduction in pitch attitude. Therefore, it may be counterintuitive to use greater unloading control forces or to reduce thrust when recovering from a high angle of attack, especially at lower altitudes. If the airplane is stalled while already in a nose down attitude, the pilot must still push the nose down in order to reduce the angle of attack. Altitude cannot be maintained and should be of secondary importance. Now we shall discuss previous training in non-similar airplanes. Aerodynamic principles do not change, but airplane design creates different flight characteristics. Therefore, training and experience gained in one model or type of aeroplane may or may not be transferable to another. For example, the handling characteristics of a fighter type airplane cannot be assumed to be similar to those of a large commercial swept wing airplane. Airplanes with electronic flight control system may provide protection against entering into many upset situations. Potential effects on engines. Some extreme airplane upset situations may affect engine performance. Large angles of attack can reduce the flow of air into the engine and result in engine surges or compressor stalls. Additionally, large and rapid changes in side slip angles can create excessive internal engine side loads which may damage an engine. Now we shall have a look at the post-upset conditions. Pilots and operations managers need to consider the physiological and psychological aspects that exist after recovery from an upset. Initially, there will be a tendency to over-control the airplane because of the large deviations and control inputs previously experienced. Pilots need to dampen out these excursions if they happen. There could be confusion on the flight deck as to what exactly happened to cause the original upset. Care should be taken not to take action that could cause a repeat of the previous upset or let the airplane progress into a different kind of upset. Pilots may not be able to recall the forces experienced or the extent of the maneuvers performed to any great detail. If large G forces are experienced, then an aircraft inspection would be appropriate. Pilots and operations managers should consider all the aspects of offset recovery to determine if continued flight or crew changes are required. It is recommended that the techniques for initial recovery should emphasize the use of primary flight controls, that is aileron, elevator and rudder. Secondary control devices such as stabilizer trim, thrust and speed brakes may be considered incrementally to supplement primary flight control input. Flight crews need to manage the energy, arrest the flight path divergence, and recover to a stabilized flight path. Now we shall have a look at the fly-by-wire aeroplanes. Airplanes that are designed with electronic flight control systems, commonly referred to as fly-by-wire airplanes, have features that should minimize the possibility that the airplane would enter into an upset and assist the pilot in recovery if it becomes necessary. Some environmental conditions can upset any airplane, but the basic principles of recognition and recovery techniques still apply independent of flight control architecture. Airplane autopilots and autothrottles are intended to be used when the airplane is within its normal flight regime. When an airplane has been upset, the autopilot and autothrottle must be disconnected as a prelude to initiating recovery techniques. Situation analysis of the energy state of the aircraft is also required. This includes, but is not limited to, altitude, airspeed, attitude, load factor, power setting, position of flight control, position of drag and high lift devices, and the rate of change. This analysis may cause the crew to make appropriate changes, such as use of speed brakes or lowering the landing gear for drag as necessary to aid in the recovery. In other words, pilots must manage the energy. In conclusion, gentlemen and ladies, flight at extremely high speed can lead to airplane upset conditions. It is essential that the pilots are fully aware of an airplane upset condition and the need for them to respond in a professional and competent manner to counter upset conditions. Importance of better understanding of the pitfalls associated with startle factor, negative g-force, use of full control inputs, counterintuitive factors, previous training on non-similar aircraft, potential effect on engines, post-upset conditions, and fly-by-wire can go a long way in enhancing the ability of the pilots in preventing or recovering from airplane upset conditions. I am indeed grateful to you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and kind attention to watch this video presentation on UPRT. Pilots must remember that knowledge and awareness are key to safety. Aviation Safety India is concerned about your safety and is working overtime to spread knowledge through our various training initiatives and programs. Hope you all will benefit from our dedicated efforts to enhance your knowledge and will fly safely and efficiently. Our best wishes. Many happy landings. Jai Hind.